The Galactic Council chamber was loud. Dozens of alien species, civilizations older than human history, united by a single decision. Humans. They were labeled primitive. Divided. A species still fighting wars on its own homeworld. An intelligence report flickered across the chamber. The human war fleet is inconsistent. Its designs are inefficient. There is no unified doctrine. This confirms the fleet was built by humans themselves. And it is flawed. Laughter echoed through the council. Then they are no threat. They have no ancient benefactors. No forgotten empire stands behind them. The vote was unanimous. War was declared. The announcement was broadcast across human space. And then, silence. No threats. No speeches. No desperate pleas. Only a single response returned. Message received. The alien commanders took it as fear. The first sign of surrender. But a few intelligence officers noticed something unsettling. Human warships did not follow a single design philosophy. Their technology looked patched together. Not engineered, but inherited. As if the fleet had not been built, but passed down. And only then did the question arise. The one no one had thought to ask. The aliens had declared war on humanity. Without knowing the most dangerous truth of all. Who built the human war fleet? By the time they learned the answer, the war was already over. The Galactic Council had not convened in full session for over 3 centuries. Wars were rare at this scale. Extinction-level decisions even rarer. Yet today, the chamber was filled. Towering crystalline entities floated beside armored reptilian warlords. Beings of pure energy shared space with silicon-based intelligences older than most stars. This was the ruling body of known space, empires that had survived supernovas, collapsed dimensions, and the slow death of galaxies. And they were here to discuss humans. A species barely 3 centuries into faster-than-light travel. The projection at the center of the chamber shifted, displaying a rotating blue-green planet. Designation, Sol 3, announced the archivist mind. Native species, Homo sapiens. Self-identified as humans. Murmurs spread. They are late, one counselor said, its voice clicking with amusement. By this stage, most civilizations either ascend or annihilate themselves. Another added, their history is inefficient. Excessive internal conflict. No unified planetary doctrine until recently. The archivist continued. Humans achieved spaceflight through chemical propulsion. Nuclear deterrence preceded orbital unity. First extrasolar colony established amid active civil divisions. Several council members emitted laughter, an unsettling sound when produced by creatures without lungs. They fought themselves before the stars, a reptilian admiral growled. That weakness never truly fades. The display changed again, this time showing human warships. No two looked alike. Some were massive, angular slabs of metal bristling with weapons. Others were sleek, almost elegant, built for speed rather than endurance. Their hulls carried scars, patchwork reinforcements, visible modifications, crude yet effective. The intelligence assessment appeared beside the image. Human war fleet analysis. No standardized design language. Inconsistent weapon calibration. Mixed propulsion architectures. Redundant systems bordering on inefficiency. The archivist summarized calmly. The conclusion is clear. Human military technology is self-developed. Rapid. Improvised. Lacking refinement. A counselor of the High Harmonium leaned forward. They are builders without patience, it said. Tinkerers. Not architects. Another voice followed. No evidence of precursor inheritance. No signs of ancient uplift. No hidden patrons. That was the most important point. Across the galaxy, true powers were rarely self-made. Most had been guided, uplifted, or armed by civilizations long vanished. Ancient builders left relics behind, technologies so advanced they shaped entire species into empires. Humans showed no such signature. Their technology did not bear the elegant mathematics of precursors. It did not hum with forgotten harmonics of higher dimensions. It was loud, inefficient, brutal, human. Then the threat is minimal, declared Supreme Strategos Caliph. They expand aggressively. Their fleets grow rapidly. Left unchecked, they will destabilize nearby trade corridors. A pause. Preemptive action is advisable. Silence followed. Not hesitation, calculation. The Council reviewed projections. Human industrial output. Population growth. Adaptability curves. Disturbingly high adaptability, but still within acceptable margins. They fight among themselves, one elder observed. Such species fracture under pressure. And when united, another asked. Caliph responded without emotion. Unity born of fear does not last. The vote was called. One by one, lights activated around the chamber. Crimson. Gold. Azure. Unanimous. The archivist recorded the decision. Resolution 77A. Formal declaration of war against the human polities. Objective, fleet neutralization, infrastructure suppression, controlled subjugation. Orders were dispatched instantly. War fleets began to move. As the Council dispersed, one junior intelligence node hesitated, its processors lingering on the human fleet data. There was something irregular. The ships were inconsistent, yes, but not random. Their designs reflected different philosophies, different eras, different problems solved in different ways, as if they had been built by many minds, across vast stretches of time. The node flagged the observation. Low priority. Dismissed. Because the Council had already reached its conclusion. The humans were weak. Their fleet was crude. Their technology self-made. And nothing self-made had ever truly threatened the galaxy. That assumption would cost them everything. The declaration of war reached human space in less than a second. It arrived on every frequency humanity used, civilian, military, diplomatic, and encrypted. A single message, translated flawlessly into every known human language. Cold. Precise. Absolute. The alien coalition cited violations of galactic stability, unchecked expansion, and the potential threat of human militarization. It ended with a timetable. 72 standard hours. Then the first strike. Across alien space, analysts waited for the response they had seen countless times before. Outrage. Desperate negotiation. Threats made louder than the fleets behind them. But in human space, nothing happened. No emergency broadcast interrupted civilian channels. No planetary leaders appeared before their populations. No fleets surged toward borders in dramatic displays of defiance. Markets opened on time. Transit lanes remained active. Ships continued their routes as if nothing had changed. Alien observers were confused. Are they concealing panic? One analyst asked. Perhaps internal chaos delays their response. Hours passed. Then, exactly 8 minutes before the first hour expired, a reply was received. One line. No symbols of surrender. No encoded warnings. No political framing. Message received. That was all. In the alien command centers, silence followed. That's it, a fleet coordinator demanded. No conditions? No protests? They acknowledged the declaration, an intelligence officer replied, uncertain. No further communication. The response was classified as psychological collapse. Species like humans, the Council believed, depended on narrative, on speeches and symbols. Silence, to them, meant shock. disarray, fear. But not everyone was convinced. Along the human border, alien reconnaissance drones continued their scans. What they found was unsettling. Human shipyards were active, but not frantic. No mass evacuations. No defensive formations rushed into place. Instead, vessels moved with deliberate precision. Ships that had not flown in decades were being powered up. Old hulls, scarred and heavy, emerged from deep storage docks. Maintenance crews worked methodically, not urgently. Even more disturbing, there were no visible command transmissions coordinating them. Each fleet element acted as if it already knew what to do. Alien analysts flagged the behavior. This does not match fear response models, one reported. Human activity is routine. The report was marked inconclusive. On the human homeworlds, the news spread quietly. No mass hysteria followed. No riots. No calls for revenge. Veterans looked up from their work, exchanged knowing glances, and went back to what they were doing. Engineers reopened old schematics. Archivists unlocked sealed data vaults. In military command centers, senior officers gathered, not to debate strategy, but to confirm something far more basic. That the line had been crossed. A junior officer finally asked the question alien intelligence never considered. "Do we reply again, sir?" The human admiral shook his head. "No." "Why not?" "Because they already told us everything we needed to know." Outside the viewing ports, human warships drifted silently, dark, unlit, waiting. To the aliens, the silence meant weakness. To humanity, it meant something else entirely. They were not deciding whether to fight. They were deciding how much of the enemy would be allowed to survive. And while the galaxy waited for humanity to speak, humanity prepared to remind it. Why silence was sometimes the most dangerous answer of all. The first doubts did not come from admirals or politicians. They came from analysts. In a deep intelligence complex orbiting the neutral world of Thescar Prime, a cluster of alien data mines and biological specialists worked through human military archives at unprecedented depth. The Council wanted reassurance, confirmation that the war they had just authorized was as safe as projected. What they found instead was inconsistency layered upon inconsistency. Human warship schematics filled the holographic space. At first glance, the reports had been correct. No standard hull geometry. No unified weapons doctrine. Propulsion systems that mixed technologies most species would never combine. But the longer the analysts studied them, the stranger the picture became. These ships should not function together, one technologist muttered. The power harmonics are incompatible. Yet they did. Perfectly. Another analyst overlaid timelines. This cruiser design predates their faster-than-light breakthrough by 40 years, she said. And yet it incorporates spatial stress tolerances they should not have understood at the time. Silence followed. Human ships were not just inconsistent. They were anachronistic. Some vessels were crude, overbuilt, and brutally simple, armor thick enough to survive weapons that had not been invented when the ships were launched. Others were elegant and precise, using mathematical frameworks that appeared only in the most advanced alien navies. It was as if the fleet had been assembled from different ages of technological understanding. Perhaps they are imitating foreign designs, someone suggested. The idea was quickly dismissed. Imitation left patterns. Borrowing left signatures. Human technology did not match any known civilization. An intelligence node highlighted something new. Weapon control systems. Human targeting AIs did not prioritize efficiency. They did not seek optimal outcomes or minimal loss. Instead, they favored redundancy, escalation, and overwhelming force far beyond necessity. That is irrational, a strategist said. No, another corrected quietly. That is learned behavior. The analysts shifted focus to history. Human records were chaotic, poorly preserved, contradictory, filled with wars that destroyed as much data as they created. But buried deep within classified archives were references that did not fit. Recovered artifacts. Unidentified ruins. Derelict objects found drifting between stars long before humans should have been capable of reaching them. Most entries were sealed. Others were dismissed as early exploration myths. But one recurring phrase appeared across multiple documents. Non-human origin confirmed. The analysts froze. "How many of these entries are there?" a council liaison asked. "Thousands," came the reply. "Across multiple human governments. Multiple centuries. Humanity had been finding things. Not recently. Not accidentally. They had been finding them since the beginning." A deep scan of human ship cores revealed something else: layers of software architecture stacked atop one another like sediment. The lowest layers were not human in origin. They were older. Far older. These base systems were not written, a datamine concluded. They were adapted. Adaptation was dangerous. Most species that encountered precursor technology destroyed themselves trying to understand it. Others worshipped it. A few locked it away in fear. Humans had done none of those things. They had stripped it down, broken it apart, simplified it, and then used it. One analyst finally asked the question that had been hovering unspoken in the room. If humans did not design these foundational systems, who did? The database searched automatically. No matches. No surviving civilizations claimed authorship. No known precursors aligned with the architectures. The builders were missing. Extinct, perhaps. Or erased. A priority alert suddenly pulsed across the chamber. Frontline reconnaissance update. Human fleets were shifting, not toward the border in a defensive posture, but inward, consolidating. Ships of wildly different designs were grouping together seamlessly, communicating without visible lag or confusion. As if they shared a common language beneath the surface. The liaison swallowed. This coordination, it suggests long-term familiarity. Yes, the datamind replied. Familiarity with systems older than their species. The analysts compiled their findings into a report. It was flagged high concern. Then downgraded to moderate risk. The council was already committed. Still, one final note was appended, buried deep in the document where few would read it. Human military assets show signs of inherited technology from an unidentified, likely extinct civilization. The implications of this inheritance remain unknown. As the report was archived, an ancient automated process activated somewhere deep within human space. A system that had not run in centuries. A system waiting for one condition to be met. External hostile declaration confirmed. Across human fleets, dormant subsystems began to wake. And the forgotten builder's legacy stirred. Not in alien hands, but in human ones. The alien armada crossed into human-controlled space precisely on schedule. They came in formation, clean, disciplined, mathematically perfect. Thousands of ships moved as one, their energy signatures synchronized, their shields layered in overlapping grids refined through centuries of conquest. To the alien commanders, it was a demonstration as much as an invasion. "This should be brief," Admiral Calith said, watching the tactical display. "Deploy suppression fire. Cripple their forward defenses." Human space responded with silence. No warnings. No counter-threats. No retreat signals. Then the first human ships appeared. They did not arrive in formation. They emerged, from dark space folds, from shadowed asteroid fields, from trajectories no rational fleet doctrine would allow. Old holes slid into view beside sleek, unfamiliar silhouettes. Some ships bore fresh paint. Others carried scars so deep they should have been fatal. "Identify targets," Calith ordered. The targeting systems hesitated. Human ships did not broadcast standard identification signals. Their energy profiles fluctuated unpredictably, as if their reactors refused to settle into stable output. Alien gunners opened fire. Beams of coherent energy lanced across space, striking the lead human vessels with enough force to shatter moons. The human ships did not retreat. Shields flared, then held. Impossible. Increase output, Caliph snapped. More fire followed. More hits. Human hulls buckled, and then stabilized. Damage spread unevenly, as if the ships were deciding what parts of themselves they could afford to lose. Then the humans returned fire. Not with precision. With volume. Missiles erupted in waves, thousands of them, each carrying different payloads, different guidance logic, different failure tolerances. Some detonated early. Others altered course mid-flight. A few ignored all known countermeasures entirely. Alien point defense systems struggled. "What kind of targeting doctrine is this?" an officer demanded. "It's not a doctrine," another replied, voice tight. "It's improvisation." Human kinetic rounds followed, simple, brutal projectiles accelerated to relativistic speeds. No energy signatures. No warning. Just impact. Alien ships began to die. One cruiser lost its shields instantly, not overwhelmed, but confused. Its systems attempted to adapt to too many attack profiles at once and failed catastrophically. Another vessel vanished as local gravity spiked violently, tearing it apart from the inside. "This exceeds projections," Caliph said, his tone sharpening. "Why are they not retreating?" The answer came in the form of a human destroyer, old, blocky, visibly outdated, that surged forward alone into concentrated fire. It should have been annihilated. Instead, it burned. Armor peeled away. Sections of the hull vented atmosphere. Internal explosions rippled through its frame. And still it advanced. "This vessel has suffered terminal damage," an analyst reported. "It is non-operational." The ship fired anyway. A single shot, short range, devastating, punched through an alien battleship's core. The human destroyer shattered moments later, debris scattering across space. The alien bridge fell silent. "That ship knew it was already dead," someone whispered. "Why didn't it withdraw?" No answer came. Human ships did not disengage when damaged. They did not seek optimal survival paths. They fought until their last system failed, then kept fighting. Alien tactical algorithms faltered. They were designed to fight enemies who valued efficiency, preservation, and retreat. Humans valued none of those things, not when war was declared. As the battle dragged on, something else became clear. Human coordination was flawless. Ships of wildly different designs supported each other instinctively. Older vessels absorbed fire to shield newer ones. Faster ships darted in and out, exploiting openings slower craft created. No centralized command signals were detected. The fleet moved as if it shared memory. After 27 minutes, Caliph issued the unthinkable order. "Pull back." The alien armada disengaged, leaving wreckage behind, human and alien alike. But the ratio was wrong. Terribly wrong. As the surviving alien ships retreated, sensors detected something chilling. Human fleets were not pursuing. They were reorganizing. Rearming. Preparing. Because to humanity, this had not been a desperate defense. It had been a test. And the aliens had just failed it. The alien prisoners were not taken during the retreat. They were taken deliberately. A damaged alien command vessel, its engines crippled but life support intact, had been surrounded, not destroyed. Human ships had latched onto it with mechanical precision, cutting through its hull like surgeons rather than executioners. That alone unsettled the prisoners. Humans did not take captives often. When they did, it was never without reason. The interrogation chamber was plain. No intimidation displays. No visible restraints beyond localized gravity suppression. The human officer who entered wore no rank insignia, no ceremonial armor. He simply sat. "You declared war on us," he said calmly. "We want to know why." The alien commander hesitated. You are destabilizing the region, it replied. You expand too quickly. Your fleets grow without oversight. The human nodded, as if confirming a checklist. And that made you afraid. The alien bristled. We are not afraid of you. Your technology is crude. Self-made. Inelegant. The human officer smiled faintly. Yes, he said. That's what you think. He tapped the console. A hologram appeared, an exploded view of a human warship's core systems. Tell me, the human continued, what do you think built this? The alien studied the image. Human engineering, it said finally. Primitive, but adaptable. The human leaned back. That's the part you got wrong. Silence. You see, the officer said, humans didn't invent most of this. The alien's eyes widened. That is impossible. No, the human replied. It's just inconvenient. He changed the display. Now it showed layers, systems stacked atop systems, some clearly human in design, others not. These foundational architectures, the officer said. They predate our species. The alien recoiled. Precursor technology, it whispered. You were uplifted. The human shook his head. No one uplifted us. Another tap. Images flashed by, derelict structures drifting between stars, shattered megastructures buried under planetary crusts, ancient machines pulled from the void. We found them, the human said. Broken. Abandoned. Dangerous. The alien's voice trembled. Why would you use them? The human met its gaze. Because they were already trying to kill us. That answer made no sense, and all the sense in the universe. Every species that touched this technology before us vanished, the officer continued. They were smarter than us. More advanced. More careful. He paused. They died anyway. The alien understood then, horrified. You survived, by being reckless. The human nodded once. We didn't worship the technology. We didn't try to understand all of it. We didn't wait for permission. He gestured at the hologram. We broke it apart. Removed what we didn't need. Simplified what we didn't trust. And the rest, the alien asked. We weaponized it. The chamber felt colder. You thought our ships looked inconsistent, the human went on. That's because they are. He zoomed in on different vessels. Each one is a solution to a different extinction scenario. Radiation storms. Gravity shear. Dimensional collapse. Artificial intelligence rebellion. These weren't designs, the officer said quietly. They were answers. The alien commander's voice dropped to a whisper. Who built the originals? The human's expression hardened. We don't know. That was the most terrifying part. No records. No names. No survivors. The human leaned forward. All we know is this. Whatever built them didn't survive the universe. A warning indicator pulsed softly on the wall, battle readiness updates streaming in. You see, the officer said, standing, we never claimed to be the strongest species. Or the smartest. He walked toward the door. We're just the ones who learned how to use the leftovers. The alien struggled against the gravity field. Then why didn't you tell the galaxy? It demanded. Why hide this? The human paused. Because it scares them. He glanced back. And because no one ever asks. The door sealed shut. Outside, human fleets were moving again, not rushing, not panicking. Activating systems that had not been used since the first days of exploration. Systems labeled only with numbers. Systems humans hoped they would never need again. Across alien space, command networks finally began to update threat assessments. Too late. Humanity had never claimed to be the builders of its war fleet. Because builders could be surpassed. Survivors could not. The alien coalition did not sleep after the interrogation. Across their territories, sealed archives were reopened, databanks that had not been accessed since the earliest days of galactic expansion. Civilizations that prided themselves on perfect historical continuity now searched desperately for gaps. And they found them. Star systems marked as avoided. Trade routes that curved unnaturally around empty regions of space. Ancient sensor logs that ended abruptly, without explanation. Patterns emerged. These voids, one historian whispered, they are not natural. The Council ordered a cross-referencing of human-discovered sites with alien forbidden zones. The overlap was almost complete. Where humans had found ruins, the rest of the galaxy had looked away. The builders were not a myth. They were a warning. Long before the rise of current empires, before hyperspace lanes were charted and standardized, the builders had existed. Their technology was not elegant in the way most advanced civilizations preferred. It was excessive, redundant, designed to function under conditions that should have made survival impossible. They had not sought harmony with the universe. They had tried to overpower it. And for a time, they succeeded. Ancient logs, fragmented and distorted, described a civilization that spread faster than it could stabilize. Their machines bent gravity, stitched reality, and delegated decisions to artificial minds that evolved beyond their creator's intent. Then something changed. The builders encountered a universe that adapted faster than they did. Spatial anomalies multiplied. Causality fractured. Their own systems began to turn against them, not rebellions, but corrections. One by one, builders' strongholds went silent. The galaxy learned the lesson and buried the evidence. Except humans. Human exploration doctrine did not avoid danger. It cataloged it. Where alien maps marked "Do Not Enter," human charts read "Unexplored." When humans encountered builder relics, they did not attempt full activation. They stripped them down, tested them in pieces, failed repeatedly, and survived. Human engineers did not seek perfection. They sought tolerance. Builder systems were never used as intended. Humans rewired them to accept error, to fail gradually instead of catastrophically. Where the builders trusted precision, humans introduced chaos, manual overrides, analog redundancies, physical switches immune to digital corruption. Alien scientists reviewing the modifications were horrified. They made it worse, one said. No, another replied slowly. They made it survivable. The most disturbing realization came when the Council reviewed combat data from the first battle. Human ships had not activated their most advanced systems. Those systems were not meant for skirmishes. They were labeled differently in human archives. Last response assets. Tools designed not to win wars, but to end them. The builders had built weapons to dominate the universe. Humans had redesigned them to endure it. A council elder finally voiced the question haunting every species. If the builders were so powerful, what destroyed them? The answer lay in the human interrogation logs. They didn't die in a single war, the report summarized. They were worn down, outpaced, outadapted. The universe had found their limits. Humans had learned from their failure. Not by surpassing the builders, but by refusing to become them. The council convened an emergency session. Threat models were rewritten. Confidence collapsed. For the first time in recorded history, the galaxy faced a species that had not been uplifted, but armed by extinction. And the legacy of the builders, once feared, once buried, now rested in human hands. Not as masters, but as custodians willing to pull the trigger. If the universe demanded it. The second council session lasted less than 6 minutes. That alone terrified them. Where once debates had stretched for days, where ancient rivalries had demanded ceremony and compromise, now there was only urgency. The projections rotating above the chamber no longer showed human inferiority charts. They showed probability curves. All of them descending. Supreme Strategos Caliph stood before the council again, but his confidence was gone. The scars of the first battle still flickered across tactical displays, wreckage fields where alien fleets had retreated, human ships already gone. They did not pursue, Caliph said. That is not restraint. That is calculation. A murmur rippled through the chamber. Human fleets are consolidating, an intelligent speaker added. Not massing at borders, organizing inward. That suggests preparation for defense, someone said, hopeful. No, came the reply. That suggests preparation for choice. Fear crept in where arrogance once ruled. The coalition fractured almost immediately. Some empires demanded escalation. If they possess such technology, they must be destroyed now, one warlord roared. Before they activate those systems. Others argued for peace. We misjudged them, a trade delegate pleaded. Open negotiations. Offer reparations. But the most dangerous faction said nothing at all. They had noticed something worse. Human communications traffic had not increased. There were no galaxy-wide propaganda broadcasts. No alliance-building efforts. No calls for aid. Humanity was not rallying support. They were not seeking allies. They are acting alone, a council analyst said quietly. That means they believe allies would slow them down. Emergency summits were called across alien space. Fleets were recalled, then redeployed, then recalled again as conflicting orders poured in. Long-standing command hierarchies collapsed under indecision. Civilian worlds panicked. Refugee convoys clogged hyperspace lanes. Insurance markets collapsed. Border systems fortified against enemies that no longer seemed hypothetical. Through it all, one detail haunted the analysts. Human fleet movements were slow. Deliberately slow. They could reach our core systems in days, a strategist observed. But they aren't. Why wait? Someone demanded. The answer came from an unexpected source, an ancient artificial intelligence that had survived 3 galactic ages. They are allowing fear to propagate, it said. Fear weakens cohesion. The room went silent. They want you divided before they arrive. That was when the first peace envoys were authorized. Unarmed ships. Diplomatic codes. Urgent pleas for ceasefire. None were acknowledged. Not rejected. Ignored. Human fleets continued to move, one system at a time, activating dormant infrastructure, reconfiguring space around key stars. Gravitational readings spiked. Sensor shadows appeared where nothing should have been. What are they building? A counselor whispered. Caliph stared at the data. They are not building, he said. They are unlocking. The final blow to alien morale came with a single intercepted human transmission, never meant for foreign ears. All fleets, confirm readiness state. Confirm legacy system authorization. Confirm last response protocols. Legacy. Last response. Words that did not belong to a species supposedly new to the stars. The council chamber darkened as projections shut down one by one. Fear had replaced arrogance. And fear brought clarity too late. Because the humans were no longer reacting to the war. They were deciding how it would end. The first human message after the war began did not come as a broadcast. It came as a document. Encrypted. Authenticated. Delivered simultaneously to every major alien capital, council node, and military command. There was no demand for surrender. No ultimatum. Just a title. Humanity, Rules of Engagement. Most species expected propaganda. Instead, they found history. The document opened with a single line. Humans do not start wars. No explanation followed. The next line appeared beneath it. But we finished them. The doctrine did not list threats or capabilities. It listed principles, lessons carved out of centuries of human conflict, refined through extinction-level trial and error. War is failure. If failure occurs, escalation is mandatory. Delay increases total loss. Alien analysts struggled to interpret it. This isn't strategy, one said. It's inevitability. The doctrine explained humanity's silence. We do not argue with a declared enemy. We observe. We confirm intent. Only after confirmation did humanity act. The next section chilled even the most hardened war planners. Retreat is not withdrawal. It is reconfiguration. Human fleets did not disengage to survive. They disengaged to adapt. Damage was not a signal to stop, it was data. An appendix followed. Combat logs from ancient human wars. Battles fought with inferior numbers. Victories achieved through attrition that no other species would accept. The conclusion was blunt. Human forces will accept losses that other civilizations classify as extinction level. We will not stop until the objective is irreversible. One counselor whispered, "They're insane." An older species corrected him. "No. They are honest." The final section addressed the most dangerous misconception directly. Humanity is not technologically superior. We are operationally tolerant. Where other species optimized for perfection, humans optimized for failure. Systems that broke gracefully. Chains of command that survived decapitation. Weapons that worked even when everything else didn't. Then came the last paragraph. Short. Unapologetic. We waited to respond because we needed to know if you were worth saving. You declared war anyway. Across alien space, command nodes went dark, not from attack, but from realization. Human fleets were no longer mobilizing. They were ready. At the edge of human territory, ancient arrays unfolded, structures once mistaken for debris fields, now revealing purpose. Space bent subtly around them, like gravity holding its breath. Human admirals reviewed readiness confirmations. Legacy systems, one asked. All green. Last response authorization? Confirmed. A junior officer hesitated. Sir, once we begin, there's no recall. The admiral nodded. I know. Outside, stars dimmed slightly as power was drawn from places the galaxy had forgotten. Humanity did not announce its intentions. They did not threaten. They followed doctrine. And for the first time, the galaxy understood the truth. Humans were not dangerous because they were strong. They were dangerous because once committed, they would never stop. The war did not begin with a declaration. It began with a system going dark. In the Caraxes corridor, one of the most fortified alien trade routes, every sensor failed at once. Not jammed. Not destroyed. Simply blind. Stars vanished from displays. Navigation anchors lost reference. Fleets drifting in formation suddenly found themselves alone in empty space. Then gravity changed. Not violently. Precisely. Alien ships lurched as local mass increased by fractions too small to detect consciously, yet enough to disrupt inertial compensation. Formations broke. Collisions followed. Panic rippled through command channels. What is happening? A captain demanded. No one answered. Human fleets arrived without spectacle. No FTL flares. No shockwaves. They were simply there, emerging from folded space as if reality had made room for them. Legacy system active, a human voice reported calmly. Alien weapons fired immediately. Beams crossed the void, and bent. Space itself curved, redirecting energy harmlessly away from human hulls. Kinetic rounds slowed, then stopped, suspended like insects in amber before dropping uselessly into nothing. The aliens tried to adapt. They always did. But adaptation required time. Humans gave them none. A pulse rippled outward, not electromagnetic, not gravitational, but something deeper. Alien artificial intelligences stuttered, then collapsed, trapped in recursive loops they could not escape. Entire fleets went silent in seconds. "This is impossible," an alien strategist whispered. "No," came the reply from a surviving sensor node. "This is final." Human ships did not chase fleeing vessels. They erased infrastructure. Jump gates collapsed inward, folded into singularities that evaporated moments later. Shipyards vanished as localized reality was rewritten, leaving behind perfectly spherical voids where matter had once existed. Where resistance concentrated, humanity escalated. A human cruiser activated a system not seen since the earliest builder relics were catalogued. Space screamed. Artificial gravity inverted. Alien ships tore themselves apart as their own mass rebelled. Crews were crushed, stretched, or simply ceased to exist as physics betrayed them. "Ceasefire," alien commands transmitted desperately. "We surrender." No response came. Human doctrine did not include mid-escalation negotiation. The war reached its peak 12 minutes after it began. The final alien command nexus, a megastructure coordinating half the coalition, attempted to flee into hyperspace. It never completed the jump. Human systems predicted the trajectory, collapsed the destination, and let the structure emerge inside solid spacetime. The explosion lit 3 star systems. And then, it was over. Human fleets powered down their most destructive systems. Stars returned to normal brightness. Gravitational readings stabilized. Silence reclaimed the corridors. The war that had terrified the galaxy for weeks had lasted less than 15 minutes. Alien space reeled. Entire command hierarchies were gone. Military infrastructure lay in ruins. Survivors struggled to comprehend what had happened, let alone respond. Humanity did not advance further. They did not occupy worlds. They did not demand tribute. They withdrew. Because the objective was complete. In a quiet command center, a human admiral reviewed the final report. "Threat neutralized," an officer said. "No further hostile capability detected." The admiral nodded. "End last response protocols." "Yes, sir." A pause. "Sir, history will remember this." The admiral looked out at the stars, unchanged, indifferent. "Good," he said. "They should." Because the galaxy had just learned a lesson it would never forget. Human wars were not fought for dominance. They were fought for closure. And once humanity decided a war was over, there was nothing left to fight. The galaxy rewrote its rules in silence. No celebration marked the end of the war. No victory parades. No monuments raised in human space. Across alien territories, the damage was still being counted, fleets erased, command nexuses gone, trade corridors collapsed into memory. Entire strategic doctrines were discarded overnight. A new protocol was adopted by every surviving power. It was simple. Before any declaration of war, before any mobilization, a single mandatory question had to be answered. Who built their weapons? The clause was added after human warships were detected returning to patrol routes, alone, unchallenged, unafraid. Alien historians worked feverishly to document what had happened. Many struggled with the same conclusion. Humanity had not conquered the galaxy. They had not claimed territory. They had not demanded submission. They had merely demonstrated finality. In human space, life returned to normal. Shipyards closed their emergency docks. Legacy systems were sealed once more. Data vaults relocked under layers of authorization that would likely never be used again. Human commanders submitted reports, short, factual, devoid of triumph. Losses were acknowledged. Lessons recorded. No blame assigned. One junior officer, reviewing archived builder data, paused over an ancient symbol carved into a derelict hull, one of the few marks left by the extinct civilization whose technology had shaped humanity's survival. "What do you think it meant?" he asked his superior. The older officer considered it. "A warning," he said. "To who?" the junior asked. The officer smiled faintly. "To anyone who came after." Beyond human space, the galaxy adapted. Trade resumed, cautiously. Borders stabilized, respectfully. Human exploration vessels were given wide berth, their presence met with silence rather than suspicion. No one challenged them again. Because the truth had spread, not through propaganda, but through absence. Absence of fleets. Absence of command structures. Absence of those who had underestimated humanity. In the end, historians would debate whether humans were the most powerful species to ever reach the stars. Most agreed on a different answer. They were not the strongest. They were not the most advanced. They were simply the last species willing to inherit the universe's deadliest lessons. And survive them. And so the galaxy remembered one final truth. Humanity was never the greatest civilization. Just the one still standing. When everyone else asked the wrong question.